tax as well, and you're not nodding anymore, I think is part of that necessary reform process. Again, I think as a quid pro quo for a change in residency status, it would be a very good trade indeed. In the Western world, in the UK, tax take is 40-45% of GDP. In Egypt, it's 20% of GDP. In Singapore, that low tax environment, it's 10% of GDP. Here in the Gulf, it's 2.5% of GDP. You could quadruple taxes and still have a tax competitive environment. I think the other thing that I'd like to see change in the region in terms of the development of its labour market is greater intra-regional labour mobility. We talk about a single currency. We talk about a free trade zone for the Middle East, for the Gulf. One of the things I'm very keen to see happen over this next cycle, as I say, I think does deliver growth, is to begin to see labour moving more freely around the GCC in particular. 2 or 3 years ago, we were crying out across the region for good, educated, Arabic-speaking, young, talented people. We ended up importing them from Lebanon and from Egypt at a time when unemployment was rising in Saudi, rising in Bahrain and in Oman as well. Those structural impediments to a single regional labour market, I think, can be addressed, and if they do, you start to get a more active, a more free-flowing labour market. That's my story. Say 12 months ago, it was all over. We were all going home. The Dubai dream was done. Sand was blowing in from the desert, and Dubai would be forgotten forever. Don't think so. I look at our near-term story now and our medium-term outlook, and I like what I see. I do see that new cycle kicking along. I look around me, and I am frustrated by some of the structural impediments, those limits on the framework for growth. I can see them in capital markets, I can see them in the judicial and legal system, the business environment, and I can see them in the labour market as well. If you start to see those issues being addressed, get excited. If you start to see one particular economy begin to address the issues around expatriate workers, begin to address the issues of attracting labour from elsewhere in the region, focus your attention very squarely on that part of the region, because they have every opportunity to establish themselves as regional leaders. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much. Take a seat. Okay, it's now time for our interactive survey, our Forum Interactive survey on working in the Middle East. You'll find your electronic voting cards in a pile there on your table if you want to just grab one each, please. And I'm going to ask John Quinn from Satellite Visual Communication to come up and take us through that survey. The questions are going to come up on the screens, so if you all want to just see where you're best placed to look at the screens from. And we're going to start, I think, with a couple of sample questions, and maybe we can use Simon's interesting point about who wants income tax, and who doesn't want income tax. Maybe that's a good one to start with. I'd like to know what the vote is on that personally. But so I'd hand you over to John Quinn, and we're going to have the results of the survey at the end of the morning for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My job is quite simple this morning. I'm just going to introduce the system to you. So if we could just have a look at the really a quotation to start with. We're trying to engage with you here and get you involved. Ben Franklin said this. So the idea is if you could just take your keypad and we'll just look at how we can use it. We find in the market that in a lot of meetings and conferences, the audiences are on strike, and this is the sort of things that they're saying. They're a bit sick of sort of people reading slides, bullet points. We've all heard of death by PowerPoint. So we're trying to improve presentations generally, and this is one of the ways we're doing it. And we're going to focus on this lady in the center here who's asking us to interact. So we're going to try and do a bit of interaction. So let's just have a look at how the keypad works. Really, it's quite simple. You press the button firmly. You'd be surprised how many people find that a challenge sometimes. There is only one vote. If you press multiple times, it will only get one vote. Some people try to press 50 times. The last choice you make is registered. So if you choose number 1 and then choose number 3, the system will remember the last choice that you make. And they don't work with your garage door, your There are children all over the UAE with them. You know, Daddy brought me this keypad back from a conference and it doesn't do anything. Please leave them behind. They're useless. So let's have a look at a quick question to get us oriented. The first question is, to take a leaf out of David Cameron's book, the British government will soon launch a happiness survey amongst its UK citizens. Exactly how happy are you living and working in the UAE? So this is sort of just a warm-up question. So obviously press number 1 if you're really not happy here, or number all the way through to number 9 if you're very happy. I can see that about 25 of you have voted so far. It's coming up to 40 of you. So just keep pressing away there. We'll close the vote in a few seconds. So we've got 57. I think there's about 80 of you out there. So keep going. 60. Okay, great. Thanks. Let's have a look at the answer. So this is typically how we'd get the results. And we can see we've got quite a good spread up there at the top end. So not too many unhappy people. That seems to bode well. So this is just an example of the way the results will be. But in the next questions, we're actually not going to show the results. Nigel's going to present those to you later. We have just a range of different tools that we can offer in the market. We do all sorts of events in this sort of area. So if you're doing any sort of live event in this sort of area, consider it. We regularly raise millions of dollars through these devices at charity events. So if you get any application for it, please feel free to chat to us. And we've just got 3 products which we'd like to introduce, which is, obviously this is the smallest one. HSBC use the central product quite a bit for feedback from the floor, so we can actually get text messages from the floor as well with that central product. And Spot Me on the right-hand side, there is a product that allows people to actually, network and find each other at live events. We did a large event with Abraj, if anybody used it recently. So let's have a look at some of the questions, and let's have a look at our first question. Which of the following sector best describes your occupation? So if you could make a choice from any of those, human resources, consultant, or even financial services, or media. And there's a few maybe some others there. So please go ahead and vote. We've got 60 results in so far. Thank you very much. And we'll just close the vote and move on to the next question, please. Thank you. So the next question is, are you working for an international company, a regional company, or a local company? Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. Yes, next question. In your opinion, is the UAE, Dubai in particular, moving towards a younger singles, couples with no children, expat employment market? Fifty of you have voted, thank you. 61, thank you. Let's move on. Thank you. If you answered yes to the earlier question, is it because of, please select one of the following. Is it because of cost of living, quality cost of education, career opportunities, company policy, or something else? If you could give us your feedback on that. 30 of you have done so. 33. The light will go green on the keypad to indicate you've answered. 37. Maybe people not sure about this. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Do you currently have an expat package, which is defined as a basic salary with housing allowance, schooling, and relocation? Yes or no? Okay, that's pretty quick. Thank you. Let's move on. If you answered no to the previous question, have you had an expat package in the region before? Okay, thank you. Next question. If you answered yes to currently have an expat package, is it more generous than before, less generous than before, or the same as before? Okay, we've got 34 people voted. Thank you. Okay, next question. Have any of your expat benefits been reduced over the last 24 months? Yes, no, or stayed the same? Thank you. 44, 49. Thank you. Next question. From your knowledge, are employers less likely now to hire expat staff requiring family status than single status expat staff? Yes, no, or you're not sure?